Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. My name is Cindy D. Whitmer, and I am the Midlife Makeover Coach, helping you turn your midlife into your best life, one step at a time. Through powerful conversations, my own midlife roller coaster story, and over 3 decades of helping people transform their lives through counseling and coaching, I am on a mission to help you create your own definition of success and happiness. Thank you for being here. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here today at Life Makeovers. And today with me, I have the most wonderful, beautiful woman, a fellow Laurentian with me. Her name is Angie Campbell. And we've known each other for the last few years since she moved to Lawrence. And it's just such a pleasure to have you here today, Angie. How would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Thanks, Cindy. So I'm Angie Campbell, like she said. I'm actually from Texas, so
Yeah.
it's been getting used to Lawrence. But I do lots of things. I had a tea shop here for a while called Southern Moon Tea and Ritual. I'm also a psychic. And I'm also known as the Luminary Life Coach. So I do a lot of life coaching for other people. It's really my passion is to help others. And then I also have my own hair and makeup company for weddings. So that's primarily what I've done basically for 20 years. So that's a little bit about me, I guess.
Wow. So tell me what led you to the hair and makeup and wedding business, and then how it evolved into what you're doing now.
So hair and makeup has always been a passion of mine. I really enjoy helping people feel beautiful. The wedding days are really important to me because I feel like it's such a special event. I like to do things that are fun and unique. And so weddings definitely fit in that category because it's its own circus, and it's a lot of fun with high energy, and I get to meet a ton of people. So I started that company in Dallas 17 years ago, and it's just taken off. So now that I'm here, I run my business from Kansas. So I've got several girls that work for me in Dallas that I just orchestrate under my name to go to different weddings. And that company's AW Wedding & Co.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just got married 3.5 weeks ago. I don't know if you know that, but you've met Ed, my beloved, before. But yeah, we got hitched a few weeks ago. So yeah, I understand. Even though we had a small, wedding in our front yard, there is a circus involved.
Right.
Anyway, there's so much planning and stuff. So yeah, that's beautiful. So now you're the Luminary Life Coach.
Yes, I was the Southern Psychic for so many years. I got to a point to where I love the word psychic, but it started to not feel quite connected to what all that I do. I'm definitely an intuitive, so it does play on the same category, but the word psychic, I feel like I was outgrowing that word. So I'm now the Luminary Life Coach because a lot of people know how intuitive I am and my business. So although I still offer a lot that the Southern Psychic offered, I now have a different approach on how I can help going forward instead of just, I guess, a reading for the day kind of thing. It's more of like, how can we really work on your life path with the information we've just gotten going forward?
Yeah, and I wonder too, I don't know if you found this, and I don't know anything about that, but does the word psychic have a different tone to it for people versus intuition? I wonder if people are more open to the idea of intuition or instinct than they are like psychic.
Exactly. So
or something, I don't know.
In a lot of religious texts, they would use the word prophet. It just
yes.
So I don't want to scare people off by using the word psychic when I'm definitely an intuitive and just tapping into the highest source, for information for your life. I'm very soft. So I like when people feel comfortable, and I just kind of felt like some people were thinking, psychic, it's a little woo woo, or, oh, I don't, it scares me a little bit, or you have just a different description in your mind for that word. So I really enjoy the word intuitive, because everyone's intuitive, everybody.
Well, that's what I believe. And I was going to say, do you help your clients tap into their own intuition? Because I think when we get quiet with ourselves, we can hear all kinds of things that maybe aren't available to us when we're not quiet.
It's just like a mother, if you're a mother, you obviously have intuition. You don't have to take your child straight to the doctor to find out that they have a fever. You're like, oh, let me touch you. And then intuitively know exactly what's going on with your kiddo, so everybody has their own variations of intuition. I like to focus on people who might have trouble with their life path or career or purpose. I'm really big on purpose. So my whole goal is just to feel the person and help them feel themselves so they can find their actual purpose as we go on.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. One of the things I hear from women in midlife, who are my primary audience, is that they don't feel like they have purpose. A lot of them raised children, for example, and then by midlife, the kids have grown and gone and are living their own lives, which of course they helped plan for and everything. But then it hits and it's like, they go, oh, who am I now? Or maybe they are kind of dried up in the career they've had for 20 years that they started when they were young adults. And now they're like, this doesn't speak to me anymore. Nothing does. Is it too late for me? So I find that too. A lot of people really need to find that sense of purpose or meaning, or somehow that they are contributing. And if they're not, it's like they're lost.
Well, part of the practice with purpose is non-attachment, because with purpose, your purpose probably changes a lot throughout your life. So I could have been like, no, I'm just a hair and makeup artist. That's my purpose. This is why I'm here. And close all the doors to everyone else I'm meeting or helping at this point. So being, in the practice of non-attachment, then your purpose can be so fluid and it can turn into other things. It can actually open doors in other areas. So I really focus on that as a luminary. I'm trying to just enlighten your creativity. So with going through one of my courses, it just shows you how you can illuminate those parts of your life so you can, be flexible and fluid and really experience new things all the time. I get bored easy. I'm gypsy soul. I love to move around. I love meeting new people. I like trying foods. There's really no stone unturned at this point. I keep going, I feel like a lot of times people think that they have to stay with one thing. And that also gets you start to feel boxed in, or you could peak and be like, well, now I feel like I'm not doing as good in that area. And it's because you're being,
right?
Yeah, done. You're done with that.
Yeah. I think that part of it, the old model of what meant a life was good, was that someone stayed in the job for 35 years and got the gold watch when they retired, and the marriages all lasted 50, 60 years. And that meant life was well lived, and you lived in the same community for 4 decades and made a huge difference. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. But I think what we're finding now more is that people are transitioning more. And sometimes they think that means they're distracted and they're not reliable. And actually, I think what you're talking about is they're fluid. It's an exploration. It's a discovery. It's a constant ebbing and flowing in life. And I don't know. I view that as very, very enriching personally.
Right. Like you take a teacher, for an example, who's taught for 30 years and raised their children,
Yes.
and they were a wife, forever. And
Yes.
they're at this point now that maybe they're about to retire and they don't have kids at home, and, their husband's still their husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's kind of like those people are who I think are drawn to me because they're in that path of like, I don't know what I want to do next. And I feel really lost
Yeah.
because I put a lot of purpose in what their reality was at the time. And now it's all changed.
Yes.
So, talking about going inward and being intuitive, I feel like when we start to go inward, then we can figure out what were the things you were actually loving about those moments, and I'm sure you could probably find something else that has the same feeling,
Yeah.
even actual, the trajectory of it is not the same. But what you're going after is always the feeling. So how something makes you feel is part of your purpose.
Mm. Yeah. I don't know how familiar you are with the work of Abraham Hicks or whatever.
Oh, every day.
Yeah,
Every,
they teach, that freedom, growth, and joy are our life purposes, everybody's life purpose, freedom,
absolutely.
growth, and joy. And I've really embraced that and attempted to, share that with others and see how it resonates and so forth, because then it's not like, okay, my 5-year goal plan is I must, do this, this, and this. It's no, I want to be joyful. I want to feel free. I want to grow. And that
It's
could look like a
you have
bazillion different
things.
things.
Yeah, and you have three things, like I have three things. So my three words are always home, travel, and confidence.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So those are my three, like if it means that I can be home and enjoy my home, or my home is, my sanctuary, what have you, whatever that looks like. That's part of my three words. And then travel, because I mean, I love going everywhere. And
Yeah.
also to be free to be able to do that. So I'm not like stuck behind a desk. I've created my life so that I can travel a lot, and I do a lot. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
I love it. So, yeah. So I would encourage people out there, like, and I
Yeah,
assume you do, to really create a mantra or words that feel powerful that they can choose their activities or make their choices based on what leads me to that feeling. Like my newest thing is I want to be faithful and fearless forever. Like
ooh,
faithful and fearless forever. Like that's kind of my new thing. I don't know how it came up one day. It was maybe 6 weeks ago. And I thought, oh, that is it. Because if I'm faithful, then I trust the process. Right. And so I don't like obsess or worry about anything or whatever. And if I'm fearless, I won't hold back trying things and won't, I don't know. It's really resonating with me. So that's bringing me a lot of joy to just remain focused on those words.
absolutely. And the energy of the words is important, because what does home feel like to you? Like, that's my word. So what's home? Um,
Yes.
an easy path to follow. I know what home feels like, right? And
Yeah.
then know what it feels like when I'm getting ready for a trip, or when I'm, packing my clothes or what have you, or when I arrive. So that's the vibe that I'm like Abraham Hicks, it's in my vortex. It's my energy I'm attaching to, that I'm bringing forth into my life. And then confidence. How do you feel when you're confident? What is your amazing time that you feel the most confident? And then that's what I try to achieve every day, is my confidence levels, like when I feel my absolute best, my highest self.
Hmm. Beautiful. Well, I'm always talking to women about confidence too. And one of the things we work on is boundaries because when we're confident people, we will incorporate healthy boundaries. And so I love, love, love that you wrote this little book,
I
your little
did.
book of boundaries. I love it. You see all the little tabs?
Yeah,
Cindy's read your little book. I would love to read a couple pages if you don't mind and talk about them.
sure.
A couple of your examples here that I think are so profound. Okay, here Angie says, I've been in relationships And my partner has tried to tell me I should be okay with this or that just because it wasn't a boundary issue for them. I learned throughout the years our boundaries are like a comfort barometer. I now visualize, I love this. I now visualize an electric fence around my space. Someone attempts to overstep that fence, my alarm goes off, intuition, and I immediately start monitoring the way I'm being treated. So the boundary being my boundaries are mine, no one has control over them but me. I love the electric fence thing. How'd you come up with that one? I love it.
It's because, you could use the word trigger. So someone will say something, or situation will happen and you get triggered. So that to me feels like if you had an electric fence and someone walked right into your fence,
Yep.
trigger. So it's just, I use a lot of different analogies. It's my learning style. So that I can remind myself, because mental health is obviously a daily practice. So I do little tips and tricks for myself, and electric fence is definitely one of them.
I love it. I'm gonna share that one over and over again with your permission.
Yeah,
Here's
for sure.
another one that I thought was just so powerful. I mean, I love the whole book, but this one really jumped out at me too. When I was in the ninth grade, I had an English teacher that said I would never amount to anything. She assumed because I did not do well in her class that I would not do well in life. Although I highly disagree with her method of teaching, like, no kidding, gosh, I still remember what she said and think of those words every time I've gotten an award or reached another level of success. What I didn't do, everybody listen up to this line. What I did not do is give her the opportunity to be right. I will not allow the opinions of others to create my reality. Oh, yes. I love that.
Yeah, she was an English teacher, and I'm dyslexic, and that was before dyslexia was commonly, I guess, tested for.
Good or
And my learning style was really different. And I do remember the only time I got like praise in that class was I wrote a poem, because poetry is actually, it comes very easy to dyslexic people because it's how we see words.
yeah.
And so I created a poem, and she was like, I can't believe you wrote this. But I mean, it was kind of negative how she said it. But I always just thought, I'm different, but that doesn't make me wrong.
Yes.
So I just kept going, and obviously have done super well. And life is wonderful. So I just keep going in my own direction without listening to how if I had listened to her, I mean, I could have just said, well, I'm just going to throw in the towel then,
That could have been it. You could
And
have.
then
Some people would have at that moment given up in life at age 14 or whatever. And
Right.
it's so sad. And so, yeah, what I am reminded of with this is, everybody has their own definition of what's successful, right? Or what happiness is. And we've got to make our own definition of that.
Right.
And there are good intentions behind people's opinions. She may have said that to you to try to motivate you or to try to wake you up, or who knows what or maybe she was just having a terrible day. I mean, who knows? But we all get feedback from other people around us, people who love and care for us,
For
as
sure.
well as public opinion. And I think one of our healthiest boundaries can be to, if we want to take in feedback, okay, give it consideration if we wish to. And at the end of the day, decide for ourselves, this is who I am. This is what matters to me. This is how it's going to go in my life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, no matter what the rest of you think.
Right. Absolutely. And that's why I think it's, especially if you have children, to always celebrate whatever it is that they're attempting, even if they're in your opinion could be terrible at it, in your opinion only. It's just something that they're actively trying and doing, and potentially could be their very best thing one day. You have no idea. So I think our teachers nowadays are a lot different. I mean, I went to school in the early 90s and, 80s, and it was different. Things were,
Yeah.
we weren't quite as accepting to a lot of different, subjects. So I think now there's just been so much more love happening. And I like to focus on all the good that has happened, because I think a lot of people think that the world has gone wrong. And I believe they're just not really focusing on how well it has gone or how much better we are doing. I mean, especially with the gender conversation or like acceptance of, your preferences in life in general. So have to focus, like Abraham Hicks, focus on the good, always focus on the good.
Well, I agree with you 100,000,000%. And I think one of the reasons there's a lopsided view is because news now is available 24/7, ticker tapes, 4 screens, 4 different news stories going at once on your screen. And there's the computer screen, the television, plus your radio, plus social media, plus all pounding the same bad news stories into
Right.
our brains anytime we're looking. And it's a microcosm of what's really happening in the world. Like what we don't know is the 1,000,000 good things that are going on the same moment there's a war in Ukraine, or the children are starving in this neighborhood, or somebody murdered so and so over here, or that terrible fire happened last night, or whatever. And so, yeah, I'm with you. It's like I try to keep news in perspective. I don't participate in it very much. And when I do, I go, okay, yeah, this is a perception of something, an event that is taking place right now, or this is someone's political slant on something that's taking place right now. Okay, what is the bigger story going on? And I think the world is full of love and kindness. And yes, there's fear, and yes, there's violence, but I just don't think that's the majority of what's going on. I just don't believe it. So I'm happier, whether I'm right or wrong, I'm happier.
Well, we talk about boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries, it's important that what are you allowing in your space is also your boundary. So if you're okay with watching a lot of chaos or understanding that all this news and taking it in every day, that's your boundary.
Yeah.
But there's people that I feel like that could, if you want to be much happier, to create a little bit of a bigger boundary, or decide what I'm going to allow my brain to think about all day. Or to decide that I can turn that off and focus on, the picture that my daughter sent me of her cat. I mean, there's just different things that, and focus is something that I like to talk about with my clients, just because it really is the biggest tool you have with your happiness. It's like the number one tool with your own happiness, is how you are choosing to view this planet today.
Oh, I so agree with you. I talk about, your mind can either be your best friend or your worst enemy, but it's our choice. That's the good news. It's our choice. And, with all the purpose work you're doing with people, if people are hearing news stories that bring them to their knees, then they might find a purpose there. Like if people are, tired of animals being treated inhumanely, maybe there's a purpose there. Maybe they have a solution for that, or maybe they want to be part of the movement to increase awareness about the troubles of animals, or whatever. I'm just making stuff up here, but it's like, if something is perpetually in your consciousness that really bothers you, that might be your intuition calling you to make a difference in that area or something.
Absolutely. And I talk to a lot of different people, and I come across some really amazing people. And I was unaware of like sex trafficking, the conversation, until I met a woman recently who actually helps facilitate women who have been sex trafficked.
Oh, nice.
story, even though I kind of avoid a lot of negative news, I was kind of oblivious to the conversation.
Mm.
So I submerged myself into the conversation so that I could understand what was she talking about, because
Mhm.
really I do have a bubble. It's a pretty big bubble, I'm happy and floating around, but these things do happen and go on. So
Yes.
I asked her, how could I help? You know?
Mhm.
And so I educated myself on it. It was a dark topic, but then you're like, like you were saying, there could be something in something that you're listening to. If it is something that really triggers you, for the purpose of good, there could be an opportunity for you to have a little purpose in that category.
Yes. Yes. When something captures our attention and then keeps our attention, holds our attention, there, I think there's something to explore there, right? That's important for whatever reason. So, okay, how about another one from the great book, My Little Book of Boundaries? I have a very unique hustle. I choose when and what days I prefer to work. I've had several onlookers say, "Do you ever work? How can you travel so much?" I used to feel the need to explain. Listen up, people. I used to feel the need to explain, or sometimes I would even book myself differently so I'd appear busier or more successful to others. What they did not understand is I work smart, not hard. My work life flow is mine. I've created my schedule exactly how I wish to live and no longer feel guilty for not doing it the way others do. The boundary being, I love this, I do not owe you an explanation on why I choose to live my life the way I do.
I spend a lot. Yeah,
Yay!
I spend a lot of pull days. I take extra long walks with my dog. There's a lot of things that I do that are very enjoyable to me. And this is a small town, by the way. Lawrence, Kansas is a very small town. Everyone has seen me at least once. And if I if I frequent a restaurant, I'll be asked, "Oh, wine at lunch?" Heck yes, wine at lunch, you know.
Wrong with wine at lunch? I mean,
But I feel like what it is it's a little jealousy that I'm doing something that they haven't given themselves permission to do out of guilt.
yeah. Or
I,
out of no vision beyond
yeah,
what they've been taught or molded to think was the model of proper working,
right,
right? Even being entrepreneurs, were freaks on some level to some people, right?
right,
Because we're not working for someone else, with the 401k, the health plan,
right.
vacation, whatever. That's very uncomfortable for some people. And it's not that the other model's bad. It's just a different approach, like you said. And what I think what's really important for everybody to hear, however this applies to them, is that we do not need to explain our lives to other people.
Exactly.
Our lives make sense to us and we're not harming anyone. I mean,
Right.
isn't that it? Isn't that all there is to it? What do
It's
you say about that?
you doing you, you know,
Yeah.
and that's in your life. And so comments and things like that, you're to me, it's like a beacon. They're like unhappy with something. So they have to comment because they're not getting the same results or freedom. So
Yes.
if you're a person that, likes to be like, oh, well, don't you think you've had enough fun?
When are you
Uh,
going to settle down and really work, or what? Get serious, right?
right. Maybe that statement, it is finally time for you to evaluate if you're really happy where you're at with your job or your work or your life purpose, for sure.
When I was married the first time, I don't know why this is coming up for me now, but of course, this was my college sweetheart. We were married for 22 years. We had 2 kids, blah, blah, blah. And there was a stretch where we had moved to a new community for his job. And so I didn't have employment outside the home for a while. So I was helping him transition his career, helping our 2 kids adjust to the new school, the new town, the new this, the new that, and I was painting our whole house and settling all that stuff, right? So that was my primary focus. And he said, you really ought to get out there and volunteer. You've got the time right now. And I was like, absolutely. So I started diving in. I mean, I was both the homeroom moms for both the kids. I was the Girl Scout leader. I was a club volleyball coach. I went on and on and on and on and on. And then one day, he said to me, your life doesn't even matter what you're doing. Like, he told me that. He literally said, you need to go get a job because you're wasting your life. Nothing matters what you're doing. And I was like, what? I mean, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I was exhausted doing all the things I was doing, and I felt like they were really important. I was saying yes to things that I thought were really important and that mattered. And he'd even encouraged me. Like, he was like, you need to go out there, blah, 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 and then I do it. And then he's like, his model in life was, it's not important if it's not a paid working for someone else employment model. And gosh, people are doing all kinds of things they're not getting paid for. I think of people taking care of their elderly parents right now. Think of people who are, raising, fostering animals or fostering children, or it goes on and on and on and on, who are companions for other people. I don't know. It's really interesting that people don't understand people's lives, and then they think they need to judge them.
Exactly. And that's where it could take some time to change your own opinions about other people, because but once you do, you could really focus on changing your own life. If you're like, oh, well, how does she get to go do lunch and have wine
How is that possible? Ooh.
Mexico and lay on a beach for a week? Like, how does that, And so instead of judging the person, why don't you ask the questions? Ask the questions. How do you get to do this? How do you get to live your life so freely? How are you able to do
that life possible for me? Like, what would I need to do to make it possible for me to go to lunch during the week or during the day, or have a long lunch, or go for a week to the beach? Or yeah, exactly. That's great. Turning it into a personal exploration instead of just judging it or even being confused by it. And I'm not trying to make anybody wrong for not wanting to do those things either. It's just confusing to me when people think there's one recipe.
It's your electric fence.
Yeah, it's the electric fence.
If
So
someone,
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, someone. Wait, sorry.
Someone to your electric fence, like they're trying to peer over the electric fence, and like, what's happening over there? So your boundary is just being you doing you regardless of someone else's opinion, and they are the observers. They could also turn that into a learning experience instead of just observing and witnessing someone else's, what you might think of as laziness or lack of, or whatever you're trying to push towards someone else. That's a really good opportunity for you to look inside your own fence and decide, why would I be outwardly judging that way when I'm probably judging myself this way? And are you happy doing that? Right. It doesn't sound fun at all.
Oh, no, it isn't fun at all. You're right.
I really think this life is supposed to be so fun and exciting and enjoyable. And if you don't have that feeling in your life, let's start there. Yes. If you feel like this life is fun at all, then we have got to start somewhere to make it fun, to realize where it could be fun.
Well, and I have found there is a belief system out there that we suffer in this life so we can be happy in the next, or after this life, or whatever. I've heard that many times, and sometimes I feel like there's kind of a nobility to, we just endure the earthly life, and then we go on to something better or whatever. And if that works for people, so be it. I choose to think it's all like I want to have a great time wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. And so I choose to focus on creating that. And I don't know if you've said this to people, but sometimes I get the feedback like, well, you're just lucky, Cindy. You're just
Yes.
lucky.
I get a lot of luck
That
come.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and I'm like, no, no, no. My happiness didn't just fall out of the sky and land in the palm of my hand. And I go, oh, okay, I'll take it. Like we can create our own happiness. And that's
We
what
do create our own happiness. We do.
and
And
anybody can.
if I was in the mindset of, I came to this earth just to work hard, and you have to do this, this, and this. And then finally, one day when you get to die, you go somewhere heavenly. I probably wouldn't have had a daughter because I wouldn't have wanted to have some kind of life like that for my own child. Like that doesn't and it sounds very restrictive. So how I've raised my daughter is just to literally see the fun in everything you do.
Mhm.
Even if right now she's having to work normal job,
Yeah.
firehouse, doing sandwiches.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Also finds joy in it because
Yes.
sometimes she gets really good at what she's doing, or sometimes she'll meet somebody new and they have good conversation. So it's like anything that you're doing, if you even enjoy it at all, you will find more things that will meet that energy of enjoyment.
Yes, we'll attract more of it to us, right? Yeah. Well, I've got to hit this other boundary here while we are still together, because this is a huge issue, pardon the pun, in midlife, is about our bodies and loving our bodies just as they are. And the boundary you share here is the curves in my body outline the shape of me. I am here to copy no one. And I love that. Like, I love that. There is such a struggle, I find, with women, especially about their bodies. And full disclosure, I've had that struggle. I've gone through, lots of different phases in my relationship with myself.
So I have a little mini meditation that I like to do with my clients, especially if they're struggling with body issues. And it's you envision yourself on the day you're going to leave your body.
Okay.
The day body behind, because obviously we know we're spirit and this is our vessel, this is our car, our driving force that's going through this life. What would you say to your body when the day you're going to leave it? I bet you look at the scar on your tummy and say, I'm so thankful that I carried a baby. You're going to embrace your knees that got you up that big mountain that you wanted to hike. You're going to look at your, shoulders and be like, I carried my child across, the parking lot so her feet wouldn't get hot. I mean, you'd think and look at your body in such a different way.
Yes.
Just like it should be looking like someone else's magazine cover. So in that meditation, and I really think everyone should just do this.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, thank you to on your body if you were telling it goodbye, because one day we will leave our bodies behind. And all we need to have is gratitude for it. That's it. Complete gratitude.
And stop the war and stop the judgment, right? I'm in a class on Sunday mornings, and one morning there were about 12 of us sitting in a circle, mostly women, but a guy or two were there that day too. And we were talking about body image and body love and all that. And I said, let's look around this circle and let's decide who's got the best body here, right? And we had tall people, short people, larger framed people, bigger boned people, very muscular people, very thin, petite people with no muscle or fat on them, or no trace of it that we could see. We had, every hair color, every skin color, every, we're like, okay, who's got the right body? Who's got the best body? Different smiles, different, all of it, different, joints, different aging spots, wrinkles or not, whatever, all of it. And we're like, there isn't anyone here who's got the best body.
Right.
They're just different bodies.
Right.
And it's like, okay, can we just give up the war?
Right. We can accept animals, like all their, we don't look at it like flaws. I mean, it's a dog. So it's your dog. You love that dog. It doesn't matter what that dog looks like. That dog could have had a completely different hair color, eye color, shape, and it's your dog. You'd still love it. So where we are as humans, we just go too far with outward appearance. And, I've dated a lot in my life, and some people think that I'm attractive.
Yes.
And I have dated people in my life that people have questioned why I've dated this person, because they didn't feel they were the same level of attraction as me. And I think that is the most
the boys weren't pretty enough for you, huh?
Third conversation I have ever heard in my entire existence. That's like, oh, my kid back because it's not as cute as I wanted it to be. That is just, you're going off of most people's relationships. I do understand attraction, but there's a lot more to attraction than just physical appearance, obviously.
Yes.
You can look at the most attractive man with the most horrible views against women, would he still be attractive to you? Probably not.
Or how they treat you. Like, how does someone treat you? How do you feel when you're in the presence of another person?
Exactly.
That is, please, people, go for that.
So even relationships, not just with your own body, but really look at your relationships too, and why you're with people, or enjoy them, and if you're not enjoying them and you're just enjoying maybe what they look like, let's reevaluate here for a minute. It's like, there's just a lot of things, I think, is with body image. We've still got some evolving to do in that category.
Oh, I do too. I don't think I judge anybody else, but I can get really judgmental of myself.
Yeah, same.
So I'm still evolving in that. That's still, I have a lot of growth to do yet there. Speaking of relationships and boundaries, one more I just can't help but point out here is the boundary. I will match the efforts you put in our relationship. I will not carry the weight for us both.
So that was a personal journey.
I'll bet.
I'm really good at fixing things or making it feel a certain way because I'm really big on energy. So let me make it comfortable for you. Big was a big thing that I thought I had to do with everyone to achieve love. It was my own trauma response that if I make things comfortable, then, I'm safe. I'm in the safe zone, but now I can get upset and I can say things that don't make me happy. And because I have a voice too. So it's through relationships, obviously learning styles. I have to do the thing to learn it. Evidently, that's my learning.
I think we all do. And we're talking all relationships here: friendships, family, colleagues, neighbors, everything. Children, parents, friends, whatever. Yeah. If you're over functioning in a relationship which allows the other person to under function, that's important to look at, I think.
For sure. And can also really eliminate a lot of heartache or resentment. And I think that I was doing things and then I had resentment, but I was creating the problem. The Taylor Swift song, "It's me, I'm the problem, it's me."
Oh, yes.
I think this, it's part of my electric fence. I will get that trigger. It was like, oh, I'm the problem right now. This is what I'm doing again. Because I resentment is a lot of times self-inflicted wounds because we did something. So why didn't you do the thing that I did to make me feel good? You
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then expecting other people to meet our needs.
Right.
Like make me feel better, make me feel good. Come on. I made you feel good. You make me feel good. Right.
Instead, matching the energy in this way, if you're if you're seeing how someone's giving, then that's how you give, or vice versa. It becomes more of an exchange of energy instead of someone's, outdoing someone else, you know what I mean? Or someone's really lacking in something. I think that's why it's really important to set that boundary so that you can understand what do I want to bring to this relationship?
Yes.
What is the relationship also bringing to
Yes. What do I need in my relationships with others when I invest in myself and put myself out there? What do I need to experience for it to be a mutually satisfying connection? And there's
and
7
that's
billion people in the planet now, or 8 or whatever it is. We can be particular, right?
totally similar. I think too, we have the relationship ourselves, like how much are you doing for others? Are you equally giving yourself that same amount of attention?
Oh,
You know,
yes. Attending to the relationship with ourselves.
yes.
It's amazing how I find, especially women, can neglect no one on earth but themselves. Like,
Right. And you
wow.
can't empty cup. You cannot.
For sure. Well, this has just been a wonderful conversation. And again, Angie's book is My Little Book of Boundaries, Angie Campbell. It's available on Amazon. And where else can people find you if they're interested in your work?
It's the luminarylifecoach.com. So, yeah, you can find me there. I'm also on Facebook as Angie Campbell, the Luminary Life Coach, and also Instagram.
Yeah. And didn't you just start a podcast yourself?
I did. I said the Luminary Life Coach podcast. I've only done 2 so far, and I'm going to have a third come out pretty soon. And so it's exciting. I've been on several podcasts with other people, including you.
Yes.
This is my first solo podcast. So it's kind of, it's a luminary. It's wonderful. It feels exciting. I get to talk about all the things I like to talk about.
Yeah, whatever you want. It's your podcast, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get on there and talk about radishes, you can do that if you want. I don't know where that came from, but anyway. Well, I thank you so much for your time today and for all the work that you're doing and the wonderful example that you're, inspiring us all with. I just really, really appreciate you so much. I'm glad we've crossed paths in Lawrence, Kansas. I really am.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Life Makeovers podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with those that you think would also benefit from what we're doing here. And I will talk to you again soon.